Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Camp Raven Knob program webinar. We're going to be talking about the Cub Scout program and the Boy Scout program. I'm getting ready to hand it over to Keith, but I just wanted to introduce myself and Adam, who is also on the bottom of this screen. We are the part of the registration team. We've been working with most of you for both Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts the last couple of weeks. To start out with, I just want to say an apology. We've been a little behind on getting back to some of you guys because of all this stuff with coronavirus. But as soon as we get everything situated on our end, we will get back on that and get going with that. Tonight's webinar, you can ask questions throughout the evening. I believe it's on the right-hand side of your screen where the comments are. You will ask questions, and we will get those answered while we were on the screen. So before we go anywhere else, I'm going to turn it over to Keith, and he's going to talk about our Cub Scout program. And then we'll take questions about Cub Scouts. For questions, you can ask them in the comments section, or you can send an email to registration@ravennob.com, and we will put them up there. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith Bobbitt.
Good evening. I appreciate you being with us this evening as we talk about our Cub Scout program and get things rolling for Cub Resident Camp. That'll be coming up on June 17th through the 20th at Camp Raven Knob. Certainly, this has been a most unusual time frame that all of us are experiencing in our country and even around the world. Right now, our plan is to still have Cub Resident Camp in full motion with all activities, everything taking place starting on June 17th. So please work with us on the deadlines that we've posted there, and we'll certainly work with you if we need some flexibility there. You know, there's going to be a lot of that as we kind of work through the spring. Help us with the details, though, as we kind of get into that, t-shirt sizes, campsite choices, those kind of things that you need. Let us know, and we'll do our very dead level best to accommodate each of you and your packs as you get ready to come up for Cub Resident Camp. Okay? In doing that, we're going to go through the Leader's Guide, which is online this year. And if you have that you've printed off a copy and want to walk through it, that's great, or you can pull it up on your screen and we'll kind of go page by page. And then if you have any questions, as Nate mentioned, please put those over on the chat side, and we'll try to fill those questions as we kind of move through this. Okay, so we'll get started. The Leader's Guide has quite a bit of information that'll help you get organized as you register your scouts and your Cub Scouts and get them through the Tenaroo process. So kind of follow that. If you're not familiar with that, Nate and Adam and several of our administrative guys are with us tonight, and they'll help you with questions there to help get you jump started to make sure that you get through that pretty smoothly. Once you've done it, you'll be an old pro at it, and it'll work great for years ahead. So we're going to refer over to the page that is forthcoming here. Stand by. Okay, page 4 is preparing to come to camp. As we get ready for Cub Resident Camp, the fees are noted there. And as you do that, you process all the paperwork. There you go. That's the front cover of the guide this year, our Pirate Adventure at Raven Knob. Let me say this too. You know, right now, everything is in full mode for the summer. We have all plans, and everybody is good to go for everything that we're doing for the summer. If that were to change, you know, we don't know what's going to happen here in the weeks ahead exactly. You know, some sources say 2 weeks, some say 6 weeks. We really don't know. But if we get, you know, on into May, and if we end up having to, you know, make a strategic change here, and whatever that may be, if it's postponing, canceling, whatever, we'll certainly let you know just as soon as we make a decision, and we'll do full refunds for the boys and the girls and make sure that everything's squared away there. Certainly, we've already bought patches and T-shirts and got the trading post ready and looked at the food orders. Thank goodness we haven't ordered food just yet, but we will be here very soon. So hopefully we're going to have camp. But if we end up not having camp, your pack and your families will get refunded the monies they've paid. Okay? Very good. So if you look there on page 4, it talks about the camp fees and when they're due. That first fee is, we've got in there $50 per scout is due by the 25th of April. Then the next fee is due by the 23rd of May. Work with us on that the best you can. And let's just say it's a good guideline at this point, and help us as best you can to get there. And we'll certainly do our level best to be ready for you when you arrive at Raven Knob. Okay. If there's any questions, let us know. If you turn over then to page 5 there on the leaders in camp, it discusses that with these younger scouts, these younger cubs, we do require more leaders be in camp. And if you have girls in your cub pack, then you will certainly have to have a registered female there with you during that during the camp itself. So work with us as we follow through with that. We do many times in cub camp have packs, 2 or 3 packs that stay together if they are smaller packs. And so they may end up sharing some leadership and campsite facilities and so forth as we work through the summer there. We are still working at camp and trying to enhance some of our campsites and put in new tents and hopefully get a new shower house built and some other things over the course of the spring. It's a little tenuous right now, but we'll see how all of it plays out by the time you get to camp. The registration information there, if you're not familiar with it, just kind of really take some time and read through. It's pretty self-explanatory as you do this, but just read through it. You'll get the idea of it as we kind of get into this. We want to get everybody registered, get t-shirt sizes particularly because this is a one-time camp. And so we only order shirts based on the number of youth and adults who tell us their sizes, and the information that we have is what we want to order from. Okay. And those t-shirts are included as part of your camp fee. So we want to make sure all of that is straight on the front end. Okay. But if you follow there in the highlighted section over to the right, the registration section at a big glance, it says, well, those are the highlights, the key points. Follow those and you'll be successful through this whole thing. Getting off to a good start here is a really good way to make sure you're successful through the whole process of going through the summer. The next page there, page 6, talks about resident camp, the address there for the camp and the council. And if you've got details you need to send, you can forward the mail, anything here at this point, on to the Boy Scout office here in Winston-Salem, and we'll take it from there. Campsite arrangements, when you get those, if you have questions, let us know. Every campsite has electricity, and every campsite but 3 has a picnic shelter with lights. The other 3 will have a freestanding tarp. All the shelters have picnic tables in them and will be ready to go for you when you get to camp. We'll have 2-person tents set up in your campsite. These are good tents with cots. You'll have a wooden floor in most cases. So it makes pretty good accommodations for folks to stay with us there for this 4-night period. Okay. One of the changes that came down from Nashville this year, there is a new medical form, and you'll need to use that, have it completed, and bring that with you when you come to camp. The portion that's to be signed by the physician does not have to be done for Cub resident camp. Okay? Because of the duration of the camp, you do not have to fill out or have a doctor fill out that portion. It's just the section there that the parents fill out about the Cub Scout they're bringing with them. Transportation and parking, folks usually come in vans and cars. We ask that you carpool as much as possible. And when you carpool, we'll have parking areas usually adjacent to your campsite, somewhere fairly close at hand, that you can leave your car parked for the duration of the camp. We ask that you stay off the main roads, make sure there's plenty of thoroughfare there if we get to get a service vehicle or an emergency vehicle through the camp, that we don't have to stop because there's a van that the back end of it is parked out in the road. That could be very dangerous for all of us involved there. So please help us by keeping the roads cleared. Certainly at no time do we want boys or girls riding in the back of a vehicle, or adults for that matter, riding in the back of a pickup truck or in a trailer, even if a pickup truck has a cab cover over it, we follow the BSA guidelines here very strictly, and we want everybody to be in a seat with a seat belt. So if you have a 12-passenger van, it's 12 people in that van at a max, not 15. Make sure there is a seat belt for every person that's in the vehicle. The next page talks about some equipment and so forth. Most of you are pretty familiar with that. You know, the packed flag will furnish an American flag for you at the campsite. It talks about other pieces down through there, you know, ice chest, lawn chairs. You know, every campsite has a fire ring, and most of these Cub Scouts want to have a fire in their campsite, usually on Thursday night anyway. We will have an opening campfire on Wednesday night and a closing campfire on Friday evening. So Thursday night will be spent usually around camp and then wind up back at your campsite. Okay. Personal equipment, you know, the handbooks that the boys work out of, clean clothes, hopefully, all of those kind of things are pretty natural. One of the biggest pieces here is to make sure that every Cub Scout has a water bottle. Okay. Needs to have their name on it. That'll certainly help you and them. But they need to bring some kind of a water bottle, and keeping these young kids hydrated is of just the utmost importance. They need to drink water at all times, moving in and around camp. All of our program areas have water available so they can refill their water bottles, particularly if you are taking some of these Cub Scouts up to the knob. They need to make sure that everybody has a full water bottle when they leave and they start that hike up the mountain. Okay. Okay, there's other tips over there that talks about flip-flops. You know, we certainly discourage these boys and girls wearing flip-flops unless they're in the shower. They need to have on shoes with closed toes and closed heels so that we prevent any injury there. Okay. Other things are noted there. A foot locker works very well even for a short period like that. It also talks about some things not to bring to camp. You know, certainly we don't need to have anybody bringing their own personal firearms or bow and arrow or large knives or anything like that. We'll have all the equipment that they'll need for those activities while they're there in camp. Same for the adults. You need to leave those things at home if you would. Okay, on the next page there on what to do when you get to resident camp, it talks about safety in general, and then what to do in case of an emergency. We have one of the nicest health lodges that you'll ever see. It's like a medical clinic, and we have a staff there that is trained and certified, and they'll help you with any medical emergency you may have. They can also store medication. If you've got medication that needs to be refrigerated or that you're just not comfortable having in your campsite, we can store that in the health lodge. In your respective campsite, in every campsite, there is a lockbox that you can store medication in. And it has a hasp on it. You can bring your own padlock and put on it. And that way you know it's secured and it's right there in the site when you need to get access to that. As you go through that week there, as I mentioned a while ago, every campsite has a fire ring. And if you do decide to build a fire, let's make sure that it's contained in that fire ring, that it is safe, and that we don't have a large fire. Small fire is all you need, even for a larger group of boys and girls. Let's make sure that the fire stays small, and that when you leave the campsite or when you turn in for the night, that fire is put out completely. The last thing we want to do is in the middle of June be fighting a forest fire at Raven Knob. It certainly is an activity we do not want to get into. Okay, let's see what's on the next page here. The next page continues on with safety aspects, talking about liquid fuels and propane fuels. Most lanterns nowadays operate off of propane, and be safe with those. Make sure they are, stored, locked up in a vehicle or somewhere away from our children that are there in the camp. If you're not familiar with how to use a lantern, check with one of our commissioners who'll be working in the campsites, and they'll be glad to assist you with any of that. When you arrive in camp on Sunday afternoons, we'll have registration starting at 1 p.m. And at that process, we'll step through and get everybody, secured in their campsites, get everybody squared away with medical forms, and you'll go by the administration building, or the pack leaders will anyway. And Adam, you want to speak to the registration process for a moment?
Sure. When you arrive to camp, you will stop by the administration building and you will get checked in with our staff, and then with May Smitherman and Donna Malden, who kind of organize Cub Scout resident camp. So you'll come by, you'll receive a packet of information, and then your pack will be assigned a pack guide that will take you to your campsite, will help you get set up. They'll give you a brief tour of camp to show you where the different programs will be, and everything will kind of move from there. If you have any last minute payments that you need to make, you can make it during that time. But if most people will show up with all of their payments already made through the Tenaroo system. So when you arrive, you'll make that first stop at the administration building, and you will want to bring the pack there with you, and we will start promptly at 1 o'clock. And you'll run through that process. We have streamlined this so much to where that's not a grueling process at all. It's very, very quick, and we'll be happy to take care of you.
Very good. For the next couple of pages, Weston, you want to talk about tours of camp and commissioners and about their campsites?
Hello? There we go. All right. Get it pulled up real fast. So pretty much whenever you'll show up on Wednesday, we'll have one of our staff members that will act as your troop guide. And how that's going to work is their pack guide, but they'll make sure that that your pack and all of the boys and girls and stuff are taken care of through the check-in process and stuff. As far as the camp tour, what we've told them to do is just to make sure that they get all the highlights of camp, just so you're not walking around looking for the nature area. You know exactly where that is at for those sessions and such. As far as the quartermaster goes, pretty much you just need to find one of our commissioner staff or the ranger staff. They can get any of your shovels and rakes and equipment like that. But as far as toilet paper, paper towels, hand soap, we will have, there's a shed just right outside of our dining hall that will be open pretty much 15 minutes after every meal. So that's, you can go ahead and grab your goods after each meal whenever you need them. As far as our leaders meetings, we'll have one right after dinner or right after Vespers on Wednesday night. And then we'll also have them on Thursday and Friday morning, just to kind of go over some other things that that will pretty much be happening throughout each day, just to kind of keep everyone updated and such. As far as tentage, Keith already went over that. The daily schedule, unless pretty much what we'll have is you have 2 sessions in the morning and 2 sessions in the afternoon. Both or all sessions are going to be about 1 hour and 15 minutes each, and you'll have 15 minutes to walk to and from. This is plenty of time to get from each end of the camp, and most of the time, the extremities it takes a brisk 15 minutes, but most how we have it set up now is to prevent that, and so it usually takes about 10 minutes to walk for all of our older scouts. So we gave an extra 5 minutes just to ensure that that all the cubbies can get there in time. As far as uniforming goes, the only times that we recommend wearing a full Class A uniform is for dinners. We encourage it for breakfast, but that is up to the pack's discretion, and also for opening and closing campfire. Our staff will be wearing the Class B uniform throughout the day. We encourage all the scouts and leaders to also follow suit with that. But like I said, this is still up to the PAC's discretion as well. As far as the dining hall goes, before each meal, we will gather in the parade ground, and that's where we'll have for breakfast and lunch. We'll do our flag ceremony, and we'll also just any sort of quick announcements that we have to make or something will be made there. But if you show up before meals, we'll have times. Most of the time, yeah, it's 15 minutes before. So like for breakfast, assembly is going to be at 7:45, and we'll eat at 8 o'clock. And it'd be the same thing for lunch and supper as well. And that pretty much covers the dining hall. So moving on down to page 12, we'll go down to the commissioner staff. Like I mentioned before, commissioner staff, they're your point of contact. They actually will be completing and campsite inspections throughout the day, and that's one of the best times to talk with them if there's anything that you need. They're pretty much just an extra hand. If there's something that's wrong in the campsite, we'll have some issues with the tent having a leak, or just pretty much anything that you need help with. They're your go-to guy. And we've had there's only one new commissioner staff, so we've got a senior group that's helping us this summer. So they're very knowledgeable about everything with the program, coming from different areas in camp. So that they're a very knowledgeable group and can help with any sort of questions that you may have and such. Keith, you want me to keep going down this page?
That's fine.
Okay. For shower facilities, that we have them spread out through camp. It's not going to. Most of them are within eyesight of the campsites, and so there's plenty of areas for the scouts to stay clean throughout the day. And some of them are set up a little bit different. Some of them are specifically for each campsite. And then especially at some of our campsites in the valleys, they'll have a block shower house. And we'll elaborate more during the summer about our schedule as far as cleaning and usage during that. But they're a community shower that's shared by multiple campsites. So we have the time frames for everyone to use showers, such as split up between the adults and the youth, as well as a cleaning schedule. For Vespers, that will be following each dinner for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. Oh, excuse me, Wednesday and Thursday night. Friday night will be campfire. And this is a non-denominational service that we'll have, and it's just really short, about 15 minutes. That will be over at the chapel behind Lake Watson. And as I said at first, with our camp tours, that's one of our spots that we highlight during that the PAC guide should be highlighting during that camp tour. All right, and let's see, advancement at camp. Yeah, so just make sure that each of the Cub Scouts are bringing their advancement book into the camp sessions, just so that the instructors can sign off on the which requirements and the achievements that they complete throughout the day. And as I mentioned before, our campfires, this is just a good time. The Wednesday night campfire that we'll have on your first night, this will be more of an introduction. We'll bring out each area and introduce all of our staff, just so you can kind of get an idea of who works where. And they'll each be performing a skit just to kind of have fun at the same time. So Our Friday night campfire is set up a little bit different. It's more of an award ceremony. We'll be giving out awards such as honor and merit pack, and it's more of just to highlight the half week that we've had at Raven Knob. So as far as one of our fishing policies, there's only a couple of rules that we have about fishing. Is that it is a catch and release policy. So whatever fish you catch, you have to put back into the lake. We do issue, our nature area issues out fishing permits. It's just something that also highlights all of our rules, and it's very simple. Just there'll be an announcement made at one of the meals for us to hand out those to everybody that's interested in fishing while they're here at Raven Knob. And we also have our Raven Knob Museum. It highlights a lot of our history and background here at camp. It is located at the bottom of our program center. It's very unique and definitely worth checking out. Has a lot of historical memorabilia in there, and just very, very awesome and definitely worthwhile to check out. All right.
Hey, Weston, I'm going to jump in really quick and get us a little further ahead so we can answer some questions. So the rest of the stuff you'll see about trading posts and lost and found, you'll see on those pages, and go ahead and make sure you read through all those. It has all the important things. Honor and merit troop, you can read all that you need to know on here. You'll just sign this book, hand it in, and you'll be handed those sessions. So important things that we need to know about registration for the Cub Scouts is when you register, there's going to be 4 different registrations. Wolf and Bear program, they register for just 1 session. So you'll see in your options that says Wolf program, Bear program. That's the only thing you put in for those scouts. For Arrow of Light and Weeblos, they'll select different sessions. So you'll see those on this page as soon as I get it put forward. You'll see these different electives, and it will kind of guide you through how they are going to do those for the day. So they might choose Ultimate Frisbee and BB Range, and so that means they'll do both of those programs throughout the 3 days, Aquanaut, Knob Hike, so on and so forth. So the program that we use, Tenaroo, when you go in and register your pack, it will allow you to choose the sessions, and then it will take away anything that they cannot pull from anymore for those sessions. Okay. And then Arrow of Light is the exact same way. They will choose these programs and then build out their schedule that way. So just to reiterate, Wolf and Bear, there's only going to be 1 selection for you to make. Arrow of Light and Weeblos, there'll be multiple selections. So just make sure that you're choosing the correct ones for your scouts. We also ask that when you register, if you have a Weeblo that's coming to camp as a Weeblo, only register them for Weeblo classes. Don't register 1 class for Weeblo and then another class for Arrow of Light. We ask that you stay within the rank that you're at. So if you have a Weeblo classes, if you have Arrow of Light classes. Okay. Then, Keith, I'm going to kick it back over to you. We got about 5 minutes or so before we need to answer some questions. And then I'll let you finish out this, and I'll go ahead and pull up Tenaroo if they have any registration questions.
Very good. Thank you, Nate. And thank you, Weston. As you get to the last page there, it talks about activities we do after dinner. And particularly that will be on Thursday evening. And that could be a knob hike. That could be a swim down at the lake. It could be a campfire that you have just in your campsite with your pack or some others that you invite over as your guest. So kind of think about that as you get ready to come to camp. Again, our theme this year is pirate adventure or pirate invasion. So if your boys want to dress as pirates and bring them all up with their pirate gear that you've put together or found, that would be great. I should mention also, we have tigers and lions this year are welcome to come up to camp on Friday afternoon and tour around camp, go fishing. There's no designated program other than just to visit the camp. They can't have dinner with us in the dining hall. There's a token cost on that. And then they can stay for the closing campfire and go home after campfire. So we'll have some more details on that we'll post on the website. But tigers and lions are welcome to come up on Friday afternoon as we wrap up program. They can come up after lunch and spend the afternoon. All right, I think I am good on my end. There's a couple of maps on how to get to camp and a map of the camp. So be sure and review those. Read through the booklet a couple of times and you'll gain a lot of information from that. Back to you, Nate.
All right, let's go through and answer some questions. I've not got any on registration. So then what we'll do is I'll show some people a step through of the camp. So let's see. As of right now. Yeah. So Chad, you saw the response, but just for everybody else, as of right now, we're still planning on, Keith mentioned this earlier in the stream, we're still managing, making sure that, following whatever happens with coronavirus. Right now, the plan is still to have a full operational schedule for summer. If anything changes, we'll obviously connect you and make sure that connect with you and make sure you have that information. But to help us out, the best thing that you can do is make sure as your unit, I'm going to share the screen really quick. We need you to make sure, let me share this. It's not there. Share screen. Chrome tab. Attention root. All right. The most important thing you can do to help us out is make sure that we have the correct information for your pack. So when we go to you log in, it looks like this. If you hit manage profile, make sure this right here, this email address here is correct. That should be set for whoever is the primary pack contact, that is how we communicate with you guys. When we send out emails, we go through our Tenaroo registration platform, and that is what is pulling the email address. That's what is sending it to. So if whoever was the person ever camping last year, if that's changed, we need you to update that. Otherwise, last year's person is going to get that. All right, do we have any other questions? Let's see here. Shirts will be ordered. Keith mentioned that earlier. Shirts are ordered, a couple weeks outside of camp. So after the registration window closes for Cub Scouts, which I believe is on, hold on one second. I've got it right here. Let's check in registration. Before May 23rd. So you have make sure you get all your stuff in before May 23rd, and then you'll get the sizes you need. I believe we do youth sizes for Cub Scout camp, all the way up through adult sizes. Okay. Yes, Russell, someone asked, do you need to bring your own firewood? That would be ideal to bring your own firewood for you to build campsite, build fires in your campsite. Just make sure you build it inside the fire ring. Adam, do you see anything else we need to go over?
So there's a question at the bottom that's asking, how much money do you recommend scouts bring to camp for the trading post? A lot of that is up to the discretion of the scout. We have things that are very inexpensive there, like pencils and pens and things like that, all the way up to our more expensive camping gear. I would say for Cub Scouts that most Cubs bring somewhere in the $50 to $100 range for the trading post, but that would be up to the family and what the pack is comfortable with. But we take all kinds of payment methods in the trading post. We've got cash, credit card, Google and Apple Pay, whatever you need, the trading post can take.
Yep. And if we don't, Adam, if you'll just watch our questions, I will kind of walk everyone through a how to register walkthrough, just so that if anybody is at that point where they're have a question about that, we'll do that. And then at 6:45, we're going to begin our Boy Scout program. So we've got about 10 minutes left. Let me share this. All right. So when you go and log in your itinerary registration, remember all Old Hickory Council packs. If you've been with us in the last couple of years, every Old Hickory Council pack already has an account. So there's no need to create an account. If you don't remember your login or anything like that, send an email to registration@ravennob.com, and we will do our best to answer to get you that information as quickly as possible. But please, if you're an Old Hickory Council unit, do not create a new account for us, because we already have that taken care of. All right. So when you log in, you'll see this. This would be where you'd update your profile to make sure we have the correct email address. Make sure you hit the save changes on the bottom. When you're ready to register your event, you're going to hit right here where it says events. And we're going to register for Cub Scout Resident Summer Camp. All right. So then you'll come here, you'll select that session, and we're going to hit register. We're going to be bringing 10 scouts and 5 adults. If you have a den chief, which they're from a Boy Scout unit, you can only have one of those. So please just select the one. It'll take you next to your top 3 campsite choices, which would be, we're just going to choose the top 3. We cannot guarantee you your campsite based on unit size. So we assign those after everybody is registered, and you'll see the campsite designation on your home screen once we assign those, and we will send out an email to everyone to let everyone know to check and see where their campsite is. So just again, we cannot promise you that you'll get the campsite you request, but we try to do our darndest to get you one of the top 3 sites that you request. After that, you'll hit next. It'll take you to this confirmation page. It's going to ask you to pay your deposit per scout, which is $50 per scout. So whatever, 50 times 10, 500, there you go. We're going to pay that, and then you'd hit checkout. And then since this is not really a real registration, I'm just going to go and place the order. All right. So now you've paid your deposit. You're ready to select classes. You'll go back here. Down here under the registration tab, you'll see participants. This is where we're going to add our first scout. So we're going to do Rowdy Raven. We're going to fill out his information that it requires. And then we're going to hit next. He's a youth participant, so we'll hit next. And he is going to be an arrow of light. So the first thing we're going to do is art explosion. And you'll notice it takes away any other session that's in time block 1. He'll do building a better world, climbing, rappelling, earth rocks. You can look over here on the right and you'll see his current schedule. I'm going to take one of these out for you so you can see what you will see for wolf or bear. So if you go to wolf program, it will show up just like that. It takes up their entire schedule, all 4 blocks. Same thing for bear program. So that's what you're going to be looking for wolf or bear. So it will be done that. Then you'll hit next. And then we're just going to pay the minimum required because you've already paid your $50 deposit, and then hit complete. You will add that for all your additional scouts. Now, the important thing to do is once you've got all your scouts entered, you hit checkout, and then at the bottom, hit place order. You can send yourself a receipt if you'd like. I just turned that off, but you hit place order, and that locks in your scout. Then when you go back to your home screen, you'll see 1 of 16 that's showing you already you have someone registered out of your 16 total participants. It is very important that you push through the checkout, because if you don't push through the checkout, they will not get locked into place. So just because you have them registered and they're sitting in your cart does not mean they're locked in. So anytime you make changes, you need to push those through for the checkout. Okay. And for scouts, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, any questions you have registration, Send it to registration@ravenknob.com. That is going to be the easiest way. Adam and myself here, and along with 2 other people, kind of monitor that throughout the week. Obviously, we get a little more done during the weekends when we're not working our regular jobs. And then, but we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. This last week, we've been a little behind because of obviously everything in the world going on with the coronavirus. So we're all getting up to speed on everything else. But we'll get, if you send us an email to registration@ravenknob.com, we will answer all your questions and email you back. Okay. Adam, do you have anything else to add?
I do not. I don't see any additional questions anywhere. So if anybody has a question for Cub Scout Resident Camp, this is the time to ask right here.
All right. We'll wait a minute or 2, and then I'm just going to go ahead and get ready for the Boy Scout program. All right. Well, thank you guys for all coming. We will see you guys at Cub Scout Resident Camp this summer. I'm going to mute us all until 6:45 when the Boy Scout program will begin. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Scouts BSA program overview. My name is Nate Todd. I'm part of the registration team along with Adam. Wave, Adam. There's Adam and Weston, our program director, and of course, Keith Bobbitt, our camp director. So I'm going to talk really quick about registration thus far, and then we'll hand it over to Keith. Most all of you have already begun your session registration, which is fantastic. We really appreciate that. If you have any questions about session registration, email those questions to registration@ravennob.com, and we will help you from there. I also just want to apologize up front. We've been a little behind the last week. Obviously, with everything going on around the globe, we've just been a little behind in getting back to your emails, but we will get back to you. Hopefully, we're going to catch up this weekend when we have a little more time once we get that all done. So I'm going to hand it over to Keith really quick. And then if you have any questions throughout the evening, just put them in the comments on the side of your screen or shoot us an email to registration@ravennob.com. And then at the end of this, we will go through and answer all those questions. So Keith, take it away.
Thank you very much, Nate. Hey, folks, thank you for being with us this evening as we talk about summer camp at Raven Knob, getting ready for a great summer here in 2020. We all recognize that there is a lot of activity going on around the world that has impacted scouting as well as every phase of our lives. So hopefully as we get into the summer, we'll have a full tilt program. Everything is in gear for everything to take place as scheduled. We recognize that things may get interrupted, and we'll work with that, and we'll take care of the details. And once we've made decisions, if we have to alter our schedule for the summer, we'll let you know immediately so that you will be kept up to date. If we end up having to close camp for part of the summer or all the summer or make those adjustments, of course, you'll get refunds for what's been paid in, and we'll get everybody squared away there as soon as we possibly can. Okay, so right now, though, we're planning on summer camp. We are focused on that. We've got a great staff put together, a lot of returning staff members, a super program. We've got some new activities we're doing, and we're going to try to make all this work just the very best that we can. So jump in there, get your scouts registered, and we'll move forward. Speaking of getting them registered, we have posted that the registration deadline for the unit count is April 15th. Realizing a lot of troops are not meeting as normal, so we are extending that out to May the 8th at this point. So give you a few more weeks there as things kind of hopefully come back to normal, that you can get more scouts registered and get your program put together. Certainly our motto at Raven Knob is leave no scout behind. If you're getting ready to come to camp on Sunday afternoon and you have two more boys that show up and they've got their sleeping bag and their foot locker, well, bring them on with you. Bring a medical for them, but bring those scouts on to camp so that they can experience Raven Knob this summer. Okay. One of the things I would like to mention, just right off the front too, we've had some changes in activities and a lot of challenges here and there that we have kind of worked through. But one of those that really caught a lot of traction early on, it's noted there on the front there, is the ATV program. We're doing that this summer. It is a relatively small group because we just don't have a whole lot of ATVs, but we've got enough to have a good session there. We're going to run that each week in the afternoons from 3 to 5. We're also going to offer that during weeks 1, 2, 4, and 5. We will have a morning session in the ATV program. So we'll have the details for that posted. Hopefully by tomorrow morning, you'll see that. If you've got boys or girls that wanted to sign up for the ATV program, you can do that for them starting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Okay. Please understand this with the ATV program. One of the challenges that we face is that in North Carolina, state law in North Carolina requires that youth under the age of 16, they can't ride an ATV larger than 90 cc's. Youth 16 and 17 can ride an ATV of 200 cc's. So that's why there's a break in there. It's not a discrepancy or something we didn't think through. It wasn't particularly explained like it should have been, perhaps. But understand that it's the age difference in accordance with North Carolina state law is what's driving that for having two different groups. We only have 4 ATVs in each group that we can put boys on, and we're trying to do that as soon as we can. Very good. At this point, we'll step over to the next page. And for camp fees and reservations, all those details are brought in there, and you can review those. Most all that's pretty straightforward. You can see the information there. If there's any questions, Nate, Adam, that you need to address there, we can. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and move forward. Okay? All right. Very good. Let's see then, as we move to page 6, all that is pretty standard. We do have a program for provisional scouts and day campers, as we have had in the past. You can find the provisional application online at our website, along with some other forms that you'll want to be sure and review. Campsite reservations is standard. Refund policy is explained there as that goes forth there, and how it pertains to troops and to individual scouts. The campsite capacities is noted there. Every campsite has electricity that will be available. So if you need to use a CPAP machine, you can do that. For registration, I'm going to turn that over to Nate and Adam and let them discuss the registration process with you.
All right. Thank you, Keith. And I'm going to answer a couple questions while we already had those. Wolfgang asked, parents are already asking what happens if COVID forces cancellations. Just to reiterate, we'll make those decisions mid to late May. But right now, everything is a go for summer camp, which is awesome. Same thing, Nicholas. We just talked about that with Wolfgang. All right. Let's see what else we have. For week 5, William, it is going to be offered in the morning and afternoon. Right now, the afternoon is the only session itinerary. We'll be adding the morning session sometime tomorrow morning around 10 a.m. like Keith mentioned. All right. Regina, will this webinar be available to watch later on YouTube? Yes. If summer camp is canceled, Rob asked, if summer camp is canceled, do we get our initial 100 deposit back? Yes, anything that's been paid for, we will refund back to those to your unit. All right, so let's talk really quick about registration. I'm going to share my screen, and we will see. Keith, I'll hand it back to you in a second. All right, I'm just going to remove you from the stream 1 second. And Adam, I added you back. Okay. All right. So when you log in, most everyone should have already logged in and provide your unit count, because you had to have your unit count before you could begin session registration on March 15th. For this, but if you have not, you'll see, I'm going to walk you through really quick the registration process. So you'll see, you log in, this is what you'll see as your unit. You'll already see your campsite assigned, your camp week assigned. And then once you click on that, it'll take you to your landing page, which you'll see up here at the top, this financial summary. It'll show your campsite here. If for some reason your campsite is not listed there, just send us an email and we'll double check, see why that is, and we will get that fixed for you. Down below that, you'll see the number of spots you're bringing. So it's going to say, you said you're bringing 14 youth, 4 full week adults, and 0 half week adults. If you need to make any changes to that anytime up to the end of unit registration, which is May 8th, you can go to manage spots and increase or decrease your unit count till then. After May 8th, you can still increase your unit count, but you cannot decrease your unit count. So that would have to come through the registration team. And we prefer you send us an email to registration@ravenob.com. Once summer camp begins, you can call the camp office, but right now there's no one staffed at the camp office. So when you call up there and leave messages, it comes to our email program, but we prefer if you can send us an email. All right. So if you need to make any changes to your unit count, that's where you'll do that. When it's time to register your scouts for sessions, you will come under participants and you'll hit your add here and then you'll choose them. I'm just going to choose this person for right now. And then you will see this is all your different classes right here. So when you add their schedules, it will take away anything else that's already in that time block. So we're going to add him. Perfect. So you'll be able to review your scout schedule over here on the right, and you'll hit next, and that will take you to the checkout for that scout. Okay. Now, if you have, we have recommended ages for some scouts. So you might have some badges based on birth dates that the scout you cannot place the scout in because they're not old enough. You know, if your troop leadership feels that the scout can handle any of that, you can request an age override. So you just shoot us an email to registration@ravennob.com with your troop, your scout name, and the session you want overridden, and we'll push it through for you. But while you're doing registration, just put them in a blank, a free session so we know where to look and put that in there. Okay, so that's kind of how you walk through the registration process. When you're on the registration page, if you need to see any of the reports that you can pull example for your invoice to see how much you still owe, the roster, this class schedule, which shows where all your scouts are going to be, or any of these reports, you can pull those from your home screen there. Okay. Hey, Adam, did I miss anything?
No, I think that you are good for the most part. I do see that we have some comments down here, like, can the campsite assigned be changed? That's really difficult for us to do. If you think that your campsite is not going to accommodate your unit, you're welcome to send us an email about that, and we can see what we can do. But we have a lot of our weeks that are very full, and it's going to be very difficult to move people around at that point. So we assign your campsite based on how many people in your application that you project to have. If you project to have, between 15 and 20, or if you are more like the 30 to 40 or even above there, then that's how we have to base that out. So if you do have a concern about your campsite, you're welcome to email us, or really to email Keith, our camp director, at campdirector@ravennob.com, and he'll be happy to work with you on that. And then Bill had a question that I thought that you could drop until June 1st. If you're referring to dropping a session, or dropping like a scout who drops out from coming to camp for the summer for whatever reason, the best thing is just to let us know as soon as possible. Yep. So that we can plan accordingly for all of that, and so that your unit can plan accordingly as well. So if there is a concern there, you can just send us an email, but for the most part, we do follow the policy and the leader's guide for that.
Yeah.
That's all that I have right now.
You can drop until June 1st, but you'll just have to have us drop it because we have the unit count number set for May 8th. So we'll have to drop that for you after May 8th, but you can still drop it up to June 1st. All right. We're going to one important thing that everyone can do for us is please, when you send an email to registration@ravennob.com, in the subject line, put your troop and your week of camp, because we have several, like, examples. Troop 200, we'll have several of those that's come this summer, and it's a lot easier for us to figure out who we're dealing with when we know your week of camp, your troop, and your council. So please put all that in there in the subject line for us. All right, I'm going to throw it back to Keith and Weston, and we'll look at program.
Very good. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Adam. Nate covered most of these details, but I just want to reiterate the medical forms. There is a new BSA medical form this year that you will need to make sure that your scouts and leaders complete before you come to camp. Even if they're only there for part of the week, they need to have that new BSA medical form completed. Okay, so help us with that as we kind of move through there. And looking at the campsites, we'll work on that the best we can. As Adam noted, we have 36 campsites. We try to balance there to make sure that the campsites are where you had originally planned, where we had planned. But if we can make changes, we'll do that. We're in a certain amount of gridlock, of course, based on the number of folks that we actually have in camp at any one time. Okay. Transportation issues there as we kind of walk through, and parking, all that's pretty standard as we kind of work through those pieces. Over at the bottom of page 12, at the bottom of page 12, it talks about handicap and service permits there. And if you need help with that, if you're going to be helping us do a project in camp and you need transportation, you can work on that there. Also, it talks about golf carts. We, in working with a number of folks and kind of walking through a council policy on golf carts in camp and following national policy, there are some details that you'll see in a separate form that's listed in with the rest of our forms regarding golf carts. Anyone who's planning to drive a golf cart in camp or a UTV, utilitarian vehicle, you will need to have this training before you can do such at camp, even if it's your own personal golf cart. We really would prefer that folks not bring golf carts or rent golf carts, but we realize that some people have to have those in order to be able to move through the camp. So help us with that, but please read through that page there. And if there's any questions on golf carts or UTVs, let me know and I'll be glad to assist you very best we can. Okay. The other information that's listed there on page 13 is pretty standard fare. Going into the program information on page 14, Weston, I'm going to turn that over to you.
All right. Am I off mute, Adam? Okay. Good evening, everyone. So I'm pretty much just going to highlight certain things in each area. So right now I'm on page 15. We'll start in the aquatics area. We offer a lot of different merit badges, including some other certifications like BSA and American Red Cross Lifeguard. We also offer mile swim and small boat, stand-up paddleboarding. And pretty much as far as all of these merit badges, the main requirement or prerequisite that we have is that they complete the BSA swimmers test. So just moving right along, we're going to go on to page 18 to the handicrafts area. This is where you'll find a lot of the craft merit badges that's really popular with our younger scouts. We offer things from art to wood carving to Indian lore. As you see down at the bottom, we do have an advanced wood carving class, and the only prerequisite that we have for that one is that you've already completed the wood carving. For someone that may have a passion and is a little higher skill level with carving and such. We do also offer metal work along with advanced metal work, which is the same situation as the wood carving, which is found on page 19. But moving right along to shooting sports, we do offer archery, rifle shooting, and shotgun shooting. We do have this venture pistol shoot, but the requirement with that is that you have to be registered with a venture crew. As you can see, it states that age 14 and above, but you have to be 14 and above plus registered with a venture crew in order to participate in that. We do have age requirements on archery, rifle, and shotgun, but those are 13, and it's still those are pretty strict, and I'll touch a little bit more on our age requirements for some of our merit badges as we get to it. So moving right along, we'll go to our nature area. This is where you'll find our merit badges such as insect study, geology, fish and wildlife management, environmental science, pretty much anything dealing with the woods and animals and such. Nothing really has changed with any of the merit badges or sessions for there. So going on down to Scoutcraft, this is your basic stuff that we have: camping, first aid, cooking, archaeology, There's no sessions changes as far as that goes. Everything's pretty much the same for Scoutcraft as well. So yeah, now we're going to our Outback program. So we will offer climbing, mountain biking, and then Cripple Creek is our Mountain Man program, and this is really focused on living in the American frontier in the 19th century, and we have a phenomenal staff out there where you can participate in black powder rifles. They can they'll even earn up to 4 merit badges, if I remember correctly. Blacksmithing, woodworking, leatherwork. It's pretty much just an all-in-one package. I mean, the Dave Brock, who runs our Mountain Man program, he does a phenomenal job, and he's just an awesome guy, and he's turned it into a phenomenal program. So then going on past that, you can see this is where we touch on our ATV program, and Keith pretty much went over all of that stuff. So I'm just going to skim over that. We'll just move right along. But like he said, we do have age requirements for the ATV program. If you're 16 and older, you can ride the bigger ATVs, but if you're under 16, that's what we have the other 4 slots for, because nationals does not allow us to for under 16 to ride anything bigger than a 90cc. So just to reiterate what Keith was saying, the reason why we have the session split up. So yeah, moving right along, page 27, our Raven Scouts program. This is our first year program that we have at Raven Knob. We have it split up into 2 different sessions. So Raven Scouts is our morning program that will run for the first 3 sessions, and this will cover over the tenderfoot, second class, and some of the scout requirements. But in the afternoon, we have our program called the Senior Ravens, which will go over most of your first class requirements just during the first 2 sessions of our afternoon programming. All right, so I do want to, now that I'm here at this, so we do have a what to bring list included with our Raven Scouts program. As they're spending majority of the day in that area, we do have and then pretty much another list that they need to make sure that they have. And throughout the week, one of the days they'll be going on a 5-mile hike. And as the summer comes along, we'll touch base more about that stuff. So, but if you have some of your scouts that are enrolling in our Raven Scouts program, just double check that they have these things whenever they're going to their sessions first thing in the morning. All right, so now at our Trail to Eagle program, this is where all of our more of our classroom-based Eagle required merit badges are. So talking about the age requirements, this is something I've had a lot of questions about, and I'm sure that Adam and Nate have a lot of questions about it. But as far as our age requirements with these merit badges, this is something that it's more of just to ensure that every scout has the best opportunity to enjoy scout camp. So a lot of people understand that at a younger age, it's very hard to stay focused, even if it is just for 15 minutes. But whenever you're sitting in a classroom, I mean, it's summer, like you're on summer break, like you're away from school, and you really want to just be outside and have fun. So this is something that we just encourage people to just wait on the Eagle merit badges until they're closer to the rank of Eagle. But it's still something that we can work around if you think that that your scout is mature enough to complete the merit badge, and will pay attention. We'll get all of the information that's needed from it, because that's the reason why they are Eagle required merit badges, because these are things that makes the rank of Eagle such a prestigious award, is because these are things that will help you every day for the rest of your life. So that's pretty much what we're ensuring, is that everybody can get everything that they need to know within each of these merit badges. So moving right along to our technology area. So one thing I do want to throw a spotlight out on is our animation merit badge. That is something new. We had tried it for 1 or 2 weeks as a twilight merit badge last summer. We had a lot of good feedback from it. So with the help of Matt Morgan, who was our technology director last year, we got that up and running this year. So now we'll have actual during the day sessions for our animation merit badge. And so pretty much that's the only thing that's changed in technology. Skimming over it real quick. Yep, so just moving right along. Okay, so Keith, you want me to talk about Twilight as well?
That'd be great.
Gotcha. So something that's mentioned right there, first thing is our whitewater rafting. So this is something that we are implementing for the first time this year. And this is going to be something where it will be an all-day thing, and you will be missing some of the sessions for that one day. But from past years, like last year, we had something similar, but for the World Scout Jamboree, and we realized that working with our merit badge instructors, it's very easy to catch up on those missed requirements for the day. So if that's something that your troop is interested in signing up for, but worried about missing requirements, it's easy to work out, and most of the instructors have plenty of time, especially during our twilight activity time, to really catch up any of the scouts requirements that they may have missed. So just scrolling down through the list, and pretty much everything's still the same, but just include, we have a knob hike. This is a staple for a camp. It's how we got our name and such. A very, very cool. It's a steep hike, but it's a very short, but definitely worthwhile to check out. We also offer free swim, toad and chip instruction, open climb, frog hunt, troop shoots, open handicrafts, and open nature throughout the week. And as summer gets here, we do have a schedule that will break down when each twilight activity will be offered and when. And it is subject to change. We may have some new ones being added to the list at a later date. So Keith, you want to talk about trainings?
Sure, be glad to. We have a number of training opportunities for adults over the course of the week. You can see most of those posted there on page 33. You can sign up for those once you actually arrive in camp. You don't have to do that in advance, but you can kind of pick and choose as you work through there. Introduction to outdoor leader skills usually takes about 3 or 4 days to complete that, as does the climbing instructor level 1 and level 2 that we discussed there, level 1. BSA lifeguard is also another full week activity that we have some adults that take part in that as well.
We would prefer, Keith, that adults do register if they can. Those options are in itinerary when they register adults. So if they'll go ahead and put in the ones they want, that'll kind of just give us a good idea of where we're going to have people. But they can register when they come to the session. But if they can register in advance, we'd really appreciate it.
Okay. Hope everybody caught that there. CPR will offer that as well during camp. We'll do that in the program center. On page 34, it goes over the other activities that we do. We have a Scoutmaster cook-off there. We have some other activities with advancement. Sometimes we have leaders that want to do a special merit badge or something that they have a real skill with. That may be fingerprinting or model building or something. We can do that in the evenings on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We do not have any other just free open merit badges that our staff does. But if you've got leaders that want to do a particular merit badge and offer that, let us know and we'll set it up for you on that given week that you're in camp. Okay. I think everything else is pretty straightforward. If you have questions on that, you can shoot us an email and we'll be glad to answer those for you. The last couple of pages there kind of goes through the day by day, kind of getting you into camp and those details and how that kind of works. One of the things that is mentioned on the bottom of page 36 is the personalized schedules. We do what we call a Raven Knob passport. If you haven't been with us before, you'll find this very helpful for your scouts. This is a one-page that has a map that shows where every instruction session is offered. It's kind of keyed there to the map. On the back side of that, it'll list the camp schedule, the daily schedule, as the boys and girls will follow while they're there with us for the week. Then they'll actually give that individual scout's personal schedule, so they know where they need to be at 9 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. It'll list their schedule so that we'll have that available to help them get through the week and be a little more successful with things and not be kind of running helter-skelter. I would ask you to, in doing, as we prepare schedules, work on with your individual scouts so that you don't have a scout that starts out in the mornings at shooting sports from 9 to 11, and then they're at nature from 11 to 12. They're not going to be very successful at that. Kind of plan their day. Look at our map. It's already on the bottom of the page there. That'll show you. There's the map, and that shows you where the different instruction sessions are offered. You will really help your scouts if you'll use this in helping them plan their week. Okay, it'll go a long way towards that. Also, look at your campsites. Some of the campsites are further out. Certainly, if you're camping at Apache and you're going to shooting sports first thing, you would want to bring your day pack or have that scout bring their day pack with them. And when they finish breakfast, they need to walk on up to shooting sports. There's no need to go all the way back to Apache and then try to get back to shooting sports. That's just not going to work out real well for them. Kind of plan some of those things, and your scouts will have a much better week in camp. Okay, very good. The tonnage is mentioned there on page 37. Most everybody will be in two-person wall tents. We'll have beds there for you. Every tent has a floor in it, and we do have Adirondacks in some campsites, but for the most part, we will be using tents. The dining hall, all that is pretty much standard as it has been in the past. The museum is open and is available for you to kind of learn more about scouting and learn more about the camp itself. JJ will be back as our chaplain this year, does an awesome job with that, and leaders and scouts alike enjoy meeting him and spending some time with him at Vespers and in and about the camp itself. Okay, the last couple of pages are pretty standard there. As you see the schedules, and you'll find that we have a bugle system in camp that runs off our PA system. And if all that works right, it'll really help keep everybody on track as we get through the week. Okay. I think everything else is pretty standard as we go along there. Each troop will get a pager when they arrive in camp, and that'll help you keep track of things. If we have an alert for a weather situation, or if we just need a leader from Troop 400 to come to the health lodge, we'll be able to reach out to each troop with these pagers as we kind of work through the week. The rest of that kind of is some other forms and details for you, as well as a map there. Please encourage your parents to visit the YouTube. If they haven't seen this information here tonight, new parents can gain a lot from kind of watching this on YouTube, and it'll answer a whole lot of their questions, and that'll save you some time in the process as well as us. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll turn it back over to Nate. Adam, other comments?
All right, we're gonna answer some questions. Keith, I'm gonna just take you out for 1 second, but if we need a question, I'll pop you back in. All right, Weston, I'll do the same for you. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna go back. Some of these have already been answered, but we'll go ahead. Mark Duffy asked, and Adam already responded, but it's good information for everybody. The $150 deposit has to be paid for each scout prior to registering for sessions. Right. Yes, you are correct. So we have two different dates. Unit count started February 15th. Session registration started March 15th. But to begin session registration, you have to make your $150 deposit. So that is correct. Mark, let's see what else we have. Joe asked, do you have any Twilight merit badges being offered outside of the 6 blocks during the day? Camp does not. Most Wednesday and Friday, you have campfires. So, and then Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are open nights for you. Either do like a free swim, a troop shoot, or stuff along that. Mark, Adam, do you know this answer?
Yes, we are still planning to offer the chess tournament as a Twilight activity this year, and Mark Black's going to be there to run it.
Awesome. Let's see here what else we have. Can adults bring their own tents to set up in campsites? You can, but we provide tents, but you're free to bring your own if you would like to.
But if you do, we encourage you to set up on the back side of the campsite so that any type of guide wire or anything that you have that's going down is not a tripping hazard, but that you're kind of out behind the regular tents that are already set up in the site.
May a single scout go whitewater rafting, or will a scout need other troop members, adults, to also attend? Keith, this might be a question for you. There you are, Keith.
Okay, very good. Yes, if you have an individual scout that wants to go on the rafting trip, that individual scout can sign up to go and participate in that for the day. We'll have other leaders and staff taking the vans up to West Virginia, and then they'll be back with us that evening. Okay.
All right. Bye, Keith. All right. This is in regards to leaders. So half week. So you just need 2 leaders at a time. It doesn't really matter how you split it up. So if you have 1 that's staying the full week and then 3 that are staying, a couple days each, as long as you have 2 in camp at all times, that's all that really matters for the 2D leadership. Will the camp staff let the Scoutmasters win at softball this year? I have a feeling
the Scoutmasters have never won. I'm sure that Weston can provide some insight here, but the camp staff has a perfect record, and the camp staff intends to keep that perfect record. So I'm sorry, Mike. It's not going to work out.
This is not going to happen.
Got a 30-0 record right now.
All right, let's add Keith back for this one. Any chance on bigger 3X? I thought we did order 3XLs.
I think he wants larger than a 3XL. We don't normally have 4X or 5X t-shirts in camp. I'll talk to the vendor and see if we can get some of those available. There'll probably be an additional charge because of the size itself.
Regina asked an important question. Do you register for whitewater rafting through the online registration system? Yes, you will register through Tenaroo. It will show up as a option on, let me switch over to that, show you exactly where to find that. And Adam, while I'm showing them this, if you'll check email and see if there's any questions that need to be answered. I'm going to pop Keith out 1 second. Okay, so when you go into registration, it's actually going to be, let's say for this, we won't mess him up too bad. This is Adam's troop. That's why I'm toying with it. We're going to add Adam here.
You're in troop 400. You're not in my troop, Nate.
What troop are you?
944.
All right. If I mess your troop up, you can go fix it.
Exactly.
All right. So when you go, oops. When you're in here, Adam Moore. He's a leader. You should see an option in here. You may tell what, Adam, I think I forgot to add whitewater to all the weeks of camp. That's exactly what I did. Hey, Regina, thank you. We will add that and it'll be up there tomorrow morning. And you'll register just like normal. It'll be a separate option for you. In the Adirondack site, how do adults normally sleep? 6 in a building? Yes. And if you have more than I'm gonna add West into this, he can answer that even more in depth for us.
Yeah, okay. So pretty much most of our Adirondacks are set up as 6 in a building. So depending on how your troop is split up, you can filter over into another Adirondack, or if you need the full. So let's see. Let's use Dan Boone as an example. It has 4 Adirondacks. So let's say you have 17 scouts plus 7 leaders. In that case, would be overflow, and what we would do is our commissioner staff would have a tent set up for you in the campsite, since there wouldn't be any room. So yes, it is a 6 per building, but if you do have overflow, we can still accommodate for it.
It's currently that we are on both sites and should split our adults between both sites. You would need part of your adults, and that's correct, right?
Yeah,
you need part of your adults in each campsite. Mars, I will make sure that whitewater is set up for youth and adults. I will make sure that's done tonight. So check back in the morning and you should be set. You should see it for both youth and adults. It'll say whitewater trip. I believe that's what I called it. I did it for week 1, but I forgot to copy it over to every other week. It'll say whitewater rafting trip. All right. And the fee for whitewater is... Keith, fee for whitewater?
You can look back at that. I think it was either 140 or 150 that we put on that.
Okay. We'll make sure that's in there. Let's see if I can find it. ravenmob.com/whitewater.
And while we're on that, while you're looking that up, is it 125? Okay.
Yeah, 125.
We will be doing this on Tuesday of each week. Okay, that's a Tuesday trip. We'll be leaving the back of the dining hall at 7 a.m. Okay, so they'll have an early continental breakfast and hit the road. They'll be leaving at 7. We will eat lunch on the river, and then they'll have dinner when they leave the West Virginia site, and they'll have dinner on the road. Should be back in camp around 9 p.m. on Tuesday evening. Okay. But that's our plan at this point, is the whitewater trip will be on Tuesdays.
All right. Anybody else have any questions? Wolfgang asked, how will a campsite be set up if there is one male and one female leader? Obviously, we'll just have 2 separate tents, one for each of you guys.
So that's something that we keep in mind. We look at the number of male and female leaders for each troop before we set up the campsites to make sure that all those guidelines can be followed when we get there.
And Elliot, similar question to you. What we'd probably do is we'd have 2 separate tents for you in the Adirondack site, or there'd be an Adirondack for one set of adults, and then the other ones would be in tents. All right. We're going to give it till 7:50 for any questions. I'm going to pop Keith out so he doesn't have to sit here. How big are the campsites? Jabber asked, how big are the campsites? If you'll look through on the page, it's in the first part of the leader's guide. It'll say campsite. It has a list of all the campsites and their max capacities or their recommended capacities. Please don't look at that and see that as, oh, I'm in, let's say, Apache campsite and it has 16 as the max capacity, please don't look at that and say, oh, well, I've got 18, so I need to change campsites. We will adjust campsites and add tents or take away tents based on what you're actually bringing. So, if you're a couple over or under on any campsite, it's not a big deal. Those are just kind of our recommendation and what we kind of set up the camp to start the summer with. So that's kind of how we do the campsites for that. So if you have campsite questions, shoot us an email, or actually shoot an email to Keith, and he will take care of that. And I'm going to type this up really quick, what those email addresses are. So Adam, you have anything else you want to add?
I think that we are in good shape. There's nothing sitting in the email that seems too pressing right now. That's not just a individual troop issue. The best thing is for everybody to keep good communication. And if you allow us, well, there's a good question that just came in. So there's one there from Jeffrey. At what point do all adult leaders need to be registered and their deposits paid? We would really ask that all of those are done 2 weeks prior to your arrival at camp, to have everybody confirmed in there. So when you have everything paid, all your names are in there, all your sessions are in there, that can qualify you to be an express check-in once you arrive to camp. So if there are excessive payments that need to be made, or you have lots of scouts who are not entered into their sessions and everything, that's when we cannot make you express check-in. You have to come in the building and confirm that on Sunday when you arrive. There's another question there. Is only one unit leader allowed to access the registration? That is what we recommend. We do not recommend that you give your login information to multiple people within the troop, because then it becomes a bit of confusion when you're putting in sessions or when payments are made and who did this and who did that. It's really best if everybody just pays the unit, and the unit keeps track of who paid what, and then those payments are made in large increments into the system. We really do not encourage that individuals have access to your troops registration site, that you have one, maybe two people within your unit that handle all of those things. A question from Mark. I'm sorry.
Just to piggyback on what Adam said, here's the problem: is when you have multiple people trying to access the unit at the same time, it's probably going to wind up overriding what each other are doing. So if you go in and put in sessions and someone else is in there doing it, it's probably going to just cancel everything out. So that's why we recommend only one or two people have access to the troop account, and only those people make any changes. And then Mark asked, how would I register 2 leaders that will be half week and share a full week slot? So just put 1 full week leader and then 2 half week leaders, and that's how we do that.
Yeah, so when you go in to register your leaders, it'll ask you whether they are full week or half week, and the charges for those leaders are different. So when you go in to actually register them, you would register your full weeks as full weeks and your halves as halves, and it will make sure that you're set up there.
So Tony, emails go to these right here: registration questions, registration@ravenob.com, campsite questions, campdirector@ravenob.com, or any other program related questions can go to camp director or program director@ravenob.com. Any of those email addresses will work. William asked, are any issues with a scout doing Cripple Creek and whitewater rafting? No, the only caveat to that is they might miss some of the stuff in the Cripple Creek program, so they would not get completions at the end of the week if they can't make all those up. Keith, that is correct, right?
That is correct. And in fact, those boys will probably want to come back into camp on Monday evening and stay with the troop, so they'll be ready to go first thing on Tuesday morning. But that's a pretty good trek back in from Mountain Man into main camp.
And Tony, just shoot us an email to the registration, and we'll figure out what all that is.
Hey, Nate, I think Keith had one more thing to add.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Keith.
All right. Hey, just a couple other things. Tony, you mentioned there about the brunch on Sunday morning. That is a full brunch. They'll get plenty to eat there. It's not just a continental breakfast. So hopefully that'll help those folks that arrive with us on Saturday night who schedule that with us, so we know how many to anticipate. Another thing, as you get ready to do your registrations and your leader is paying those fees online, please note that some folks have a limit on their credit cards. And when they go to pay a fee of several $1,000s, it will not go through all at one time. That being the case, you may need to stage that out or talk to your bank and get a lift on that so you can make a multi-$1,000 expenditure. Otherwise, you're going to think you made a payment, but it really got kicked back because you didn't have the clearance there to make such a large payment on your card. Help us with that.
Yep. And with what Keith was saying, you can change the amount due on the payment page. So if you go in and put the first payment for $1,000 and then hit submit, and then the next day go back in and do another 1,000, and that'll get your payments done. Okay. Let's add it since we have so many questions.
Nate, let's also mention that when you're making a payment, you can also make your payment through an e-check. So that's using the routing and account numbers that you would find on the bottom of your check. And a lot of times there's not limitations and issues to those because that's really coming directly out of the checking account of the troop.
Yep.
So that tends to work really well. If you're using a credit card, then that's oftentimes where you see these limitations, the amount that you can spend. But the e-check option is really good.
Yep. All right. Is there any last minute questions? All right. Feel free, everyone, to send us emails to registration@ravennob.com and campdirector@ravennob.com, and we will try to get those taken care of for you. Just to reiterate, we're adding ATVs sessions in the morning tomorrow for weeks 1, 2, 4, and 5. And I'll get those in right around 10 a.m. tomorrow, so you can try to register them for the morning sessions. We know they're going to go very fast, so I'm just going to apologize up front. We're sorry that they're going to go fast. We just we have a very limited number we can offer this year for the ATV programs. And then I'll also make sure we get whitewater added to the other weeks of camp because I missed that. My apologies for that. Again, any email questions for registration, send them to me or Adam at registration@ravennob.com. This weekend, we're going to try to get together and catch up on all the stuff we've missed over the last week due to coronavirus. But we thank you for all that you do for your scouts, and we look forward to seeing you this summer at Camp Raven Knob. So on behalf of the admin team, have a good night.
Very good. Take care, folks.